Good morning. If we could ask everybody to start taking their seats, please. Mati Maya Karja, good morning and thank you very much for joining us here at Stanford for the third annual Irish Roundtable in the Valley. This event has grown year over year and I want to thank Conla, Marcin and Ashing Events for continuing to bring us together in the spirit of collaboration. Community and continuing to learn from each other. We're delighted to have Ireland's Minister for Public Expenditure, Infrastructure, Public Service Reform and Digitalisation with us, alongside the Irish Consulate here in the room. We thank you for your continued support. This event would not be possible without the support of our event sponsors, and we want to acknowledge and thanks Uno Square, Options IT, Údarás na Gaeltachta, Atlantic Technological University, New Deal Advisors, Studio Ulster, and my own organisation, InvestNI. Thank you for your continued support. I would like to also thank some of our honorary chairs who have spent the last number of months working behind the scenes to thoughtfully shape this year's programme. We will be hearing from many of them throughout the morning, but I would like to especially acknowledge Charlie Lavery, representing Local 3 of Operators Engineers, Conleth Mulholland, founder of Benjin, and Rachel Louise Healy, anthropology PhD student here at Stanford, a member of the Irish Association of Stanford, and our ambassador here on the ground. Thank you for the time, energy, and expertise you've contributed. We have a great programme lined up for you today with panels and discussions and presentations featuring speakers from Belfast, San Francisco, Kerry, Portland, Letterkenny, Los Angeles, and even Connemara. We will be joined virtually by MEP Michael McNamara, member of the European Parliament for the Ireland South constituency, and we even have an Olympian on the lineup. All of the information you need for today, including the full programme and speaker bios, can be accessed by scanning the QR code on the back of your name tag, and Wi-Fi details are on the tables. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our host for today, Stuart Coulson, adjunct professor at Stanford D School, lecturer at Stanford Graduate School of Business, honorary chair of today's event. We're very grateful, Stuart, to you for hosting us here. Please join me in welcoming Stuart Coulson.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I'm going to have to use my teacher voice. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right, now we're going. Okay, so I was asked to do the welcome this morning by Marcin. Those of you who know Marcin will know that his definition of the word ask is slightly different than other people's, and so I was told to do the welcome this morning, basically. And I had no idea what I was going to say, so I decided, because Irish people are storytellers, and because we do a lot of storytelling where I teach in the D School, we use it for communication when we're doing a lot of innovation, I would tell a very quick little story that I hope you will all enjoy. So the story is going to involve three different things. First of all, a small village in Ireland. Secondly, some 1950s nerds. And thirdly, Stanford itself. So, this is Cromain in County Kerry. Has anybody been to Cromain, County Kerry? Yeah? Near Killorglin? They've got a nice seafood festival there. Have you been to that? No? About 200 people live there. So in the early 1900s, John Patrick McCarthy, a good Munster name, emigrated, as many people did, from Ireland to the US. And I could say that he came over to find his fortune, but in fact he was a communist and a union organizer, so I think he came over to spread the fortune out among the people. As most immigrants, he really valued getting his children to have a better life than he had. And he used the standard process that every immigrant parent uses, which is, come on, this is a test. Education, right? Get people a good education. He had a son and a daughter, and they both were put through an amazing educational experience. This is a group of computer nerds from 1956. I'm interested to see the computer nerds look kind of the same now as they did in 1956. And these guys are all at a special conference, which is known today as the Dartmouth Conference. It was called together in 1956 by this man. This is John McCarthy. John Patrick McCarthy's son. And John McCarthy was interested in some new technology that was happening, and they were trying to organize a system or organize a conference so that they could solve a problem and win the Turing Prize. The Turing Prize, named after Alan Turing, is the prize that most of you probably already know, where ideally, if you're having a conversation, you can't tell the difference between whether it's a human being or a machine. And so these guys, John McCarthy called a conference together to discuss this and to try and solve this problem. John McCarthy was the person who actually called it artificial intelligence. So a second-generation Irishman named the reason why we're all here today, artificial intelligence. So they set themselves a reasonable deadline. They said they would solve the problem in about 6 weeks in 1956. As any of you who've ever looked after a software development project or managed something like that, you'll know that some of these deadlines are a little flexible, but they were out by probably, 30, 40 years, something like that. But John McCarthy was one of the original drivers of all this. And then John McCarthy ended up at Stanford, where he was a computer science professor for nearly 40 years, from 1962 to the year 2000. And he continued to work on AI and many other things. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about him, then you can go to his personal website. So every faculty member at Stanford is given a personal web page, and his web page is still here. He was a professor until 2000. He was an active emeritus professor until 2011, and then he passed away in 2011. So go to his personal website, take a look at some of the papers that he wrote, but there's one interesting link. In the late 90s, he was interviewed by the San Jose Mercury News, which is a local paper here, and he was asked to identify the technologies that he thought were really cool that had emerged during his career, but also to predict what was going to happen in the future. And so if you want to know what John McCarthy was thinking about AI in the late 90s, go and take a look at that interview. I never met the man, unfortunately. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I just wonder if he was here today, whether or not he'd be amazed by how many Irish and Irish-adjacent people had gathered in Stanford University to talk about AI. So welcome to you all. Fáilte go léir. Have a great day.